Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, one person is dead after a house fire in West Virginia. And former President Donald Trump is on a battleground tour this week to counter the Democratic National Convention.
And another beautiful day across eastern Kentucky, but all good things must come to an end. Find out when we'll go back to the 90s in a few minutes.
Dedicated to southern and eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. One person is dead after a fire in Mason County, West Virginia. Several fire crews responded to the large house fire in the Glenwood community late last night. A 74-year-old man who lived alone at the home died, and his body was sent to the state medical examiner's office. No word on what caused that fire. In northern Kentucky, investigators are looking for more victims of an accused serial rapist. Billy Highlander is accused of raping 4 victims, including one that was younger than 10 years old. Investigators say the assaults happened in Pendleton and Robertson counties. Detective Ken Hall says they believe Highlander finds victims through the women he's involved with. Hall asks that anyone who thinks they may have their child may have been a victim to call Kentucky State Police. Night 2 of the Democratic National Convention will begin this evening, but there were a number of notable Democratic leaders that spoke on opening night. That included Governor Andy Beshear. Governor Beshear spoke about a few different topics, including Kamala Harris's opponent in the election, former President Donald Trump. The governor mentioned reproductive freedom, saying Trump and his running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, simply do not believe in people's freedom.
Folks, Donald Trump appointed the Supreme Court justices who got us into this mess. His Project 2025 goes even further. Here's the thing. Trump and Vance simply don't believe in your freedom.
Governor Beshear also spoke about how he is proud to back Kamala Harris's efforts to become the country's next president. We'll have night 2 coverage of the Democratic National Convention beginning at 10 o'clock tonight here on WYMT, and of course a wrap-up after that on our late newscast. The Trump-Vance campaign provided a response to what they call vile comments Governor Beshear made in Chicago. Here's part of that reaction. Quote, after speaking on the DNC main stage last night, Harris campaign surrogate Governor Andy Beshear went on national television this morning and explicitly called for a member of Senator Vance's family to be raped. We call on Kamala Harris to immediately repudiate Governor Beshear's comments and demonstrate that regardless of partisan disagreements, this kind of violent rhetoric has no place in our public discourse. Former President Trump was in the battleground state of Michigan today, day 2 of counter-programming to the Democrats' convention. The GOP nominee also gave an exclusive interview to CBS News. CBS's Natalie Brand has the latest.
From a sheriff's office in rural Howell, Michigan, former President Donald Trump promised to back police if reelected and get tougher on crime.
Crime in America is out of control. I'm going to make it, along with the economy, inflation, strong borders, and energy dominance, my top priority.
The Harris campaign has criticized Trump's choice to visit Howell, the site of a white supremacist demonstration less than a month ago. On Facebook, the sheriff defended his community.
There's been a couple of folks that have come here to cause a little bit of a stir, spew some hate speech, white supremacy crap. Those folks are from out of town.
Trump is in the middle of a battleground state blitz, one of his biggest campaign weeks this year, while the Democratic National Convention is underway. Over the next few days, he's scheduled to hold events in North Carolina, Arizona, and Nevada.
As Trump's campaign adjusts to his new challenger, his attacks have gone personal against Vice President Kamala Harris. CBS's Caitlin Huey-Burns asked him about that in an exclusive interview Monday.
Well, I don't think she's a very bright person. I do feel that. I mean, I think that's right. I think I am a very bright person.
Trump's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, is campaigning in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
You saw it with the riots in Kenosha in the summer of 2020. Wisconsin has suffered when you don't have good, smart, pro-public safety leadership. And that's what Donald Trump and I want to bring back to the White House.
It was this week 4 years ago that a controversial police shooting drew civil unrest in the city after Jacob Blake, a father of 3, was shot 7 times in the back by police and left paralyzed. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
The federal government is accepting applications for a sped-up path to permanent living, which could impact some in Kentucky. The program is for undocumented people who have been in the U.S. for at least 10 years and are married to a United States citizen. A Lexington immigration attorney says the program could lead to a green card a lot faster than usual. She says up to 2,500 clients may qualify for the program within her own office. The former Minneapolis police officer convicted of killing George Floyd has been transferred to a federal prison in Texas. Derek Chauvin was stabbed at a different facility last year. Chauvin is now housed at the Federal Correctional Institution in Big Spring, which is a low-security prison. Chauvin was stabbed 22 times in prison by a former gang leader and one-time FBI informant.
Well, as seen on TV yesterday, we had temperatures in the 60s and 70s again today, and that trend will continue for your Wednesday. Outside right now, we're at 68 in Hazard. 68 is the current temperature in Jackson. Look at Prestonsburg, 67 degrees, 61 in Wise, 73 in Jonesville, 72 in Jacksboro. We are substantially cooler now as compared to 24 hours ago. 10 degrees cooler in Prestonsburg, 7 degrees cooler in Pikeville, 6 degrees cooler in London, only a couple of degrees cooler in Jonesville as well as Middlesboro, but a couple of degrees cooler nonetheless. All is quiet on Live Pinpoint Doppler radar. This is going to get a break as we go throughout the next several days, really, as high pressure is large and in charge, and it's going to be in control for quite some time. If you have plans tonight, we'll see temperatures in the mid-70s by the 6 o'clock hour, upper 60s and low 70s by the 7 o'clock hour. And if you have plans later on in the evening, 9, 10 o'clock time frame, let's say, beautiful. Temperatures in the low to mid-60s. But as they say, all good things must come to an end. Find out when the 90s will return in the First Alert forecast in a few minutes. Steve.
Eric, thank you. Boeing's troubled 777X aircraft has encountered yet another problem. Boeing paused tests after discovering structural problems with the plane. The company says a component between the engine and the plane's wings did not perform as it was designed to do. Engineers are now working to replace the part and will resume testing, quote, when ready. Boeing billed the 777X as the world's largest and most efficient twin-engine jet. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine has been diagnosed with COVID-19. Officials say Governor DeWine experienced mild cold-like symptoms yesterday, which included sneezing and a runny nose. Officials say the governor is working remotely from home today. Some health department officials in Kentucky are reminding folks to stay vigilant against COVID after seeing an increase in COVID activity. It starts with prevention. The latest COVID vaccine formula is set to become available in September. You should also practice good hygiene by washing your hands, cover coughs and sneezes with a tissue or cough into your elbow. If you're sick, stay home until you are both fever-free without using medication and are feeling better overall for 24 hours. University of Kentucky campus is hustling and bustling again as incoming and returning students make their way in town for the upcoming school year. With the influx of people, campus police say it's imperative that students work with them to create the safest environment possible. Mariah Congito spoke with the UK police chief about student safety amid recent gun violence in Lexington.
We are one of the safer campuses in the country. And that's one of our goals has always been to make sure that we are taking care of our students, our staff, our faculty, and our patients.
Over the years, Chief Joe Monroe says the university has invested $18 million in enhancements to make campus as safe as possible.
Preparation and planning is the #1 thing to help prevent, an incident from occurring.
Monroe says they've held active aggressor trainings, encouraged all students and parents to sign up for UK alerts and download the Live Safe app, and revamp the Blue emergency phone towers. The blue emergency phones are placed strategically throughout campus so that really from anywhere you can see one in your peripheral. However, UK police says they found that not a whole lot of people use them. So over the years, they've retrofitted them, adding cameras and a speaker system.
We have nearly 64, 65 of those on campus. When we send out a UK alert, they'll come through those towers now.
While these measures play a big role, Monroe reminds people that safety is a shared responsibility, especially if you see something that didn't seem right or if you think you were a victim of a crime.
You need to feel safe that you can report that to either UK police or some of the other offices on campus. And be protected for reporting that.
Monroe says thefts are the #1 call they deal with during the school year.
That's the one crime that we know that can be resolved if people pay attention and they lock up their valuables.
And it's no secret that Lexington has had its fair share of shootings this summer. The latest shooting was just reported over the weekend. Chief Monroe says parents should feel confident that their students' best interest is always in mind.
We take it very seriously when any crime is even bordering, the university campus. We work very closely with our partners at the Lexington Police Department.
Monroe says for the fall semester, they will also be enhancing their traffic enforcement to keep pedestrians and bicyclists safe. Mariah Conjito, WKYT.
Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, financial conversations can be difficult, particularly with your children. We'll look at teaching teens how to budget.
And in the world of weather, we're seeing temperatures in the 60s and 70s, but when can we trade the pumpkin flavored weather for ice cream weather again? Details in a few minutes. Stay with us.